Hey, welcome. We are here with Sandy Adams. Woo! I am so excited. I'm always excited to talk to our photographers. I just can't hold my excitement. But anyway, welcome, Sandy.
Hey, welcome. How you doing? Thanks for having me.
Oh, absolutely. This has been, too long in the works to, coordinate and get you on. But we have you on 2022 right here.
Hey, whatever works. It works. I'm good with it.
So, Sandy, let's go ahead and dive into this. Tell our viewers about you, where you reside, just go ahead and hit them with that.
I'm a native Washingtonian, and I live in DC now. And so I grew up here, went to high school here. I left for college and went to Rochester, New York for college and went to RIT. Stayed up in Rochester for 16 years because I didn't think I wanted to be out of the city. I went somewhere else and then ended up coming back home.
Okay. Well, home is where the heart is.
I suppose. I worked as a public servant for 30 years. I started out as a EMT medic and in Rochester and did 9 years as a police officer, about a year or so as a firefighter and a Marine firefighter. I was on the water. And then I came here and worked for DC government as a special agent and did healthcare fraud for another 14 years. Yeah, about 14 years. And I worked special security for about a year and did high level security. And all this time I still did photography after I graduated. Well, I kind of quit after I graduated. I kind of hated it after college for a little bit.
Okay, so pause. With all of this career stuff, let's pause and take you back. When did the photography become your passion?
Oh, always. I've been taking pictures since I was little. I was like everybody else. I took pictures when I was little. I had the instant, tell how old I am. I had the little Kodak camera with the cube. And then I did the Polaroid.
I noticed. I was like, okay, she's wearing the Polaroid t-shirt.
I did the Polaroid thing for a while. And then I got I won a camera. I won a camera when I was in high school. I won a Nikon FM2.
Okay. Was it a contest or something?
Yep, it was a contest.
Okay.
And my high school teacher made me enter it. And lo and behold, I ended up winning. And then it was funny because the native DC Washingtonians will know there's the Mormon Tabernacle Church that you can see on the highway. And I shot that, and it was like this stormy cloud day. So the sun was coming through. So it looks like a castle in the sky. And that's actually what the contest was. So I won with that picture.
And that was a Nikon?
It was a Nikon, but my mom actually bought me my first camera, and it was a Canon. And I've been a Canon user ever since.
I'm sorry, did you say Canon?
Canon all the way. I'm a Canon baby. Canon all the way. So much so I'm a Canon professional service member. So I'm a Canon member all the way.
Yeah. And, so that Nikon didn't stay in your hand that long.
No, I never even used it. I was a Canon shooter before I even got the Nikon. I actually have it on my shelf as a display. So
yeah, that's good. That's good.
I've been shooting since I was little, and I actually wanted to be a nature photographer when I was young. And at the time I was going to college, there were not any photography programs. You either had to be an artist, as in you can draw, and I can't draw a dime. I can't even draw a straight line. Or you had to be communications major, and I didn't want communications. And so the only school literally that had a photography degree program was Rochester Institute of Technology at that time. This was in like 86 when I graduated high school. Unlike today where they're like everywhere. there wasn't any when I was going through. And so I went to RIT, and mom was like, well, my mother was suggested I become a photojournalist because she liked photojournalism.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I studied, photojournalism.
Okay.
But I've always been a nature, I mean, always strictly love nature photography.
So no portraits and weddings, none of that.
I can't stand portraits. I don't, and I can't stand weddings even more. I can't stand portrait. I'll do a portrait before I do a wedding. And I've done both. I worked for Life Touch for a little while and was doing church directories and everything for a little bit. But no, I strictly, and I don't consider myself necessarily a nature photographer. I consider more of like an outdoor photographer because I like doing architect. I like doing anything I find outdoors, so I can photograph a fire hydrant and be happy with it.
Right.
But
well always was drawn to nature.
Yeah, but yeah, nature. And I like to see how nature and man play together. So I like doing a lot of city nature. So like the scene behind me is actually one of mine. And my little screen behind me is mine.
I
It's
like that.
It's at the tidal basin. So I like to combine nature and man. So city nature is like what I do a lot of.
Okay.
So
nice. Yeah. So with all those careers, I mean, did you find like your photography was a way to balance the stress of
it was my solitude. I would go out and just be me, and it's peaceful, it's refreshing, it's quiet. I think that's the other reason why I like nature, because I didn't have to talk to anybody, I didn't have to be nice to anybody, I didn't have to smile all the time.
You look great.
I didn't have to hear anybody's problems. The trees don't have a problem. The squirrels and the benches. Nothing, nothing talks back to you.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's it's where I kind of recentered myself, and I still do when I go out. I still like going out by myself to recenter myself and just be not having to think about anything but what's in front of me.
So with that, when you are out and you're, with nature and you're tuned out of everybody that's around, I often ask the question, when it comes to photography, is it the image, the photographer's eye, or the camera? Basically, is it the photographer's eye or the camera? What's most important, or is it both? Because I'm sure that you heard it, with your experience in photography. What kind of camera, Canon, do you have?
Yeah.
Because people look at your beautiful image.
What is that?
Right.
Yeah.
And they're like, it can't be you, it's the camera. Share how you feel about that.
Or my other favorite line is, wow, you must get really great photos with that.
Yeah.
I've taken a page from, I forgot where I heard it or read it, but someone had quoted, like, you go to a chef, it was actually chef, and said he got tired of people saying, oh, your food is really excellent, it's really, really good, what do you do and everything, and he's like, so he went to someone's house and they cooked dinner, and he's like, oh, your stove must be really great, what kind of stove do you
Yeah, it has nothing to do with the chef at all.
Right, exactly. So I've kind of taken that page, and generally when folks ask me that question, I actually kind of downplay it a lot. I was like, oh, it's an old camera, it's just really old, and I half the time I try not to show it. And then if they insist, I was like, it's just a Canon. I'm like, I just, it's an old camera, I've had it for a long time. I said, you can take great pictures with anything. So
you have people that really try and find out what make and model you have?
Yes, make and model, the lens, everything. I've had people, especially at the tidal basin, I've had people stand next to me, stand in front of me, and they're like, you must know what you're doing. So literally have said that to me. They're like, wow, you must know what you're really doing. So they'll stand either right on top of me or in front of me and try to get the same shot that I'm doing, but have no clue what I'm looking at.
So, I got to go there. Do you feel that it's because you're a woman?
I don't think it's because I'm a woman so much. I think it's they literally look at the camera and say, oh, you have this great big camera and this lens and this tripod and you look like you know what you're doing. So let me go stand next to you and get what you're getting. Um, and it's funny because I tell people, most photographers talk about pre-visualization, and I don't do that. I don't when I go out, I like to find things that are out there, but when I see something, I see it as an image. So
Mhm.
it'll literally look like an image. It'll have a border, have everything around it, and I know that's what I need to take. And so no one can see that
Right.
but me.
Exactly. That's what people don't understand. They're not your same height.
Right.
They are not setting up and seeing what you see. It just doesn't happen.
Exactly. And I laugh, and I mean, and it's sad to say, but I've had women photographers do it more to me than men photographers.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Like stand in front of, what's
Standing
the
in front,
standing in front
yes.
of you thing?
Child, I'll stand like in the tree line, especially if I'm shooting something a ways and I'm looking for maybe framing it with a tree branch or something. People will literally walk. Now, I've had several people turn and look at me and see I'm set up and then walk right in front of me and set in front, like, but on the sidewalk or wherever else, so they're not around. I've had people come take their shots of whatever tree that I'm working on, ignore me completely. and I think part of that is because I'm Black, because the folks who are doing it aren't. And they
Mhm.
just figure I have no clue what I'm doing, I guess. But I've had more women do it than necessarily men do it.
Mhm.
The guys actually some of them end up just talking to me and just saying hey and chit chatting, and they all want to talk equipment, and I'm like, I'm not technical. I'm like, I could care less.
Don't ask me the pixels and the frames per second. I'm not, no, we're not
Right,
gonna do that.
right. I'm not into all that. I'm like, I take what I think looks great. I mean, even though I studied it 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, depending on how you want to look at it, as long as I was in school. um, but the technical stuff never rubbed off on me. And it's all really, I do by, and like, thank God for digital, because it makes it easier for me. Because I was like back, I used to use a lot of slide film. Negative film was just horrible. But I did a lot of slide film, and my other favorite was black and white reversal film,
Okay.
which, it's hard to, you can't even get that anymore, I don't think.
Just even the whole thing with film in this day and age. How do
I
you feel
know.
about that?
It's funny that it's making a resurgence. It's cool, and I wouldn't mind it so much if I had a dark room, but to create a dark room and all that, I'm like, the computer's so much easier now. I'm all like, what makes it easier for me
Exactly.
to deal with? And I can correct anything that I want. If I'm like, oh, it's not dark enough, or it's too light, or when I'm shooting, and the instant gratification of being able to correct whatever I'm doing is better for me. Because I have a very short attention span sometimes. Although I can get lost when I'm taking my photos, I'll just be out there. But it's so funny because I have an internal clock. When I'm done, I'm done. And I can tell because I get tired and I'm like, okay, I'm done. And then I don't want to do anymore. And I'm like, okay, time to go home.
Right.
Because sometimes it could be like I could be out there for 3 or 4 hours. Sometimes it's maybe not that long, depending on, especially if it's crowded. Once the crowd starts coming, then my time gets shorter and shorter.
Yeah, because it never fails when you're out taking pictures. And you can be in a field the size of a football field, actually, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you can be the only one, but you have your camera, and no matter what, at least it happens to me too, people will just come right there.
It's like the bathroom stall, doesn't matter.
Right. Yeah.
All the bathroom stalls are empty, but they gotta come right next to you.
Exactly. And you're like,
I know, you're like, really?
right. So with, just with the film, and like you said, for being in film before, dealing with the dark room and all of that, and then with this resurgence of film and people being excited, I got some film, I'm about to be in the dark room. You're like,
I didn't like it when I was doing it. I actually didn't like darkroom work. And it wasn't that, I mean, I got excited when I saw the image come up. It wasn't that, it's just, I didn't like being in the darkroom and just didn't like doing darkroom work.
Okay.
But I really enjoy working when I'm on my computer. I can sit for
Because you're
hours.
comfortable.
I can sit for hours and
Yes.
edit an image all night long. But when it came to the darkroom, I'm like, okay. I didn't like the chemical smells. You know, you're sticking your face in the fixer and you're starting to taste everything. And oh my God, I'm surprised I don't have blood poisoning from like the spot brush, sticking it on your tongue and spotting everything. It's amazed. I'm amazed I'm still alive after all of this. I've always used either my school's dark room,
Okay.
or I used a community dark room. And then generally I sent my film out. I'm like, you guys get paid the bucks, go develop.
Right. And that's the other thing. It's like now with digital, we don't have to worry about, do you have 24 exposure roles, 36 exposure roles?
Right. And my favorite place was here in DC, where I used to get my film when I moved back home and before I left to for college. Was Asman Photo.
Okay.
They were an excellent processing place, and I could always take my stuff there and know that it was done really well, and I could work with them no matter what. And like if I tell them, oh, I want this pushed, or if I want this, they were really good at that. So and I was like, so when they closed down, because went out of business because film was dying pretty much off, and people weren't dropping their film off. I was like, oh no. I was like so heartbroken, because I also did prints. Besides developing film, they also did my prints.
Okay.
I was just like, now I got to find a new print place.
I know it sucks how things, how just stuff evolved, and then how the resurgence, and you're like, anybody developing film, do I want to do this? Do I want to dust off my old camera? So let me switch gears.
Sure.
What has been your most challenging shoot out in nature?
Challenging out in nature. Cherry blossoms. Because they're the most popular thing here in DC. And so in the springtime, we get thousands and thousands and thousands of people. It's so bad. A lot of times I didn't even like coming down. For years, I never came down to shoot them.
Okay.
I've only started shooting them, what's this, 2022? I think 2014 was the first year I actually decided to start to really go shoot them. Because there's just too many people. So I try to get up as early in the morning as possible to get out here. But like now every photographer in the world wants to be out here early in the morning. So it's like now you're battling photographers more than the crowds. So I'll try to come out on days no one wants to come out, rainy days, things like that. And or if I come out in the morning, I'll try to leave by 10-ish, 9 or 10, somewhere around there. But generally that, just because they're so popular, and then we get, now that you get the regular joggers and bikers who want to just, I'm like, don't you have anywhere else you can go? I mean, first off, there's too many people. Why are you riding a bike on this path? Look at this path. This path.
Right.
There'll be hundreds of people here and people still ride their bike.
I have to say, I was in DC, let's see, I think was it 2019 or 2018? Anyway, I think it might have been 2018. And it was just before the cherry blossoms. I mean, they were starting to. I was able to take a picture, but yeah, and it was just the amount of people that were there when I was there.
Yeah, now imagine doubling that when they're in bloom.
Yeah, and DC is already a tourist spot, but oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So, but let me ask you this: since there has been the pandemic, have you been able to get out and get some of the cherry blossoms? Especially the first year in 2020.
The first year I got, before they started, the first year, yes, I got a little bit of them, and then they ended up shutting everybody, because everybody was like, we can go to the cherry blossoms. And I only got a short amount that first year from the pandemic, because people started realizing, oh, if I go outside, I can be outside during the pandemic, and it got to be too many people there. So they shut the whole thing down. And then last year, I did not go. Why didn't I go? I don't remember why I didn't go last year, but I don't think I got any last year. I have to look at my.
So with the pandemic, has that how have your photography been affected, or have you found that, it's like, I'm not getting out as much, or been trying to get outside of DC? How has it affected?
I love the pandemic. I loved it when we were shut down. I want to go back to being shut down. Are you kidding me? The pandemic has been awesome for me. One, because no one's in the city. During 2020, no one was in the city. So I was loving it. Did I tell you, like, people? And so what I did was, I wanted to work on my flower photography because I sucked at flower photography. No matter what I did, I could not get flower photography where it looked like, I was like, everybody's got these amazing images of flowers. And I'm like, mine looked like crap. For a nature photographer, I'm like, how can this be? So that's what I did. So I walked around my neighborhood. I don't live far from my mom. So what I would do is I'd start at my house and I'd walk toward her house. And it's about 6 or 8 blocks away.
Okay.
And I would shoot flowers in people's yards, the front yard. I wouldn't trespass, but I'd, shoot the flowers or trees or whatever along the way. And I just practiced and practiced. So it was great practice and got better and better and better. And
yeah, I'm glad you're bringing that up because I was going to touch on your flowers.
Yeah, they sucked when I started.
But they're beautiful now.
Thank you.
So are you doing, was it the macro? I mean, what did you find to be the challenge or the aha moment when it came to your flower photography?
I had to figure out the best angle, number one, and number two, the best lenses and whatever. And then I realized macro was the best way to go with flower photography. And once I figured that out, then I had to figure out, okay, what do I want out of that macro? And I just kept shooting different ways. I'd do like a whole thing, and then I'd do pieces, and then I kind of got into the really, really macro where you just see slithers of, matter of fact, this was one of the lenses that I had used, and I got a reversal. This is an old film lens. This is my super wide Sigma. It's so funny. Lens that I had for my film camera. It's a 24 millimeter wide, and I got a reversal ring for it. And I was shooting with this along with my 40 pancake lens. And I actually used my 180 macro, and I would reverse them all to see what they would do. And I actually like the results from the 40 and the 24 the best.
Okay.
The 40 gave me the whole flower if I wanted it. And the 24 gave me the slithers and pieces without buying a lens baby. Because I was like, everybody's in the lens baby. And I'm like, there's got to be another way of doing this. And I'm like, that lens baby is a little expensive for my taste at the moment. So I went with the reversal lens and turned the lens around. And you have to find that sweet spot, going in and out. And I'm hand holding most of these. I'm not using.
I was going to ask you that because usually when it comes to macro, at least. Yeah, I mean, I've done macro, and I'm like, with the
tripod, yeah.
And then there's those moments where I'm like, I don't feel like bringing out the tripod.
Right. And so I use with these two, I hand hold them a lot, and I find that sweet spot, especially for that 24. Every once in a while, it's funny. I will shoot my 70 to 200. And you can actually get pretty close up. They're not macro, but they're nice close up ones at a distance. But I'll use a tripod when I'm using all those.
Okay.
And I've done it with my 100 to 400 as well. It's kind of weird, but yeah.
Wow. So how does with you being into nature, how would you say, or nature photography, or just outdoor photography in general, how would you say has that affected you being the woman that you are today?
How's it affected me personality wise?
Sure. I still don't tolerate people. No,
exactly. I'm still very much an introvert, although no one believes I'm an introvert. They're like, yeah, right. I am very shy, and I'm very much an introvert.
What?
You're shy? I found there's a new word. There's like something called extrovert introvert, or introvert extrovert, or extrovert introvert. I'm an introvert until I know you, then I get to be an extrovert.
Okay.
but I'm still very much a loner. And the nature gives me like, it's just really peaceful for me. It really is about being peaceful and being centered. Because I mean, you can imagine being a police officer or a medic or a fighter. It's always hectic. Everything's always, and I failed to mention I left after being in public service for 30 years. I left. I just left. So I call myself retired from public service and full-time photographer now. Yeah.
Yay, you.
Yeah, artwork is still trying to sell the work, but still trying to sell work to make money, but I'm still pushing on it. But
yes, keep.
I didn't realize how stressed I was, number one, until I left. And then I didn't realize how I was always on, I guess, like always looking around to see who was doing what was doing what were you doing, what are you doing, where are you, okay, can I take you, if I have to, can I beat you if I have to, can I run from you if I need to? And that gets to be exhausting.
Yeah,
it really gets to be exhausting. And being in nature, I get to be relaxed. I don't have to be tense all the time. I don't have to worry about what's around. I just go about my business and ignore everybody pretty much to some degree. I mean, I'm still cognizant of my surroundings and who's around me, but I don't feel as I have to, okay, if something happens, what am I going to do? I can ignore you. If you rob somebody, I'm like, okay, and keep on going. I'm like, I'll get your description and I'll give it to the police, but I don't have to do anything. Which is, unusual for me. And it took a bit to get used to that. But yeah, I don't have to wake up early in the morning.
Must be nice.
I'm naturally a night owl, so that really helps. And so I don't have to wake up in the morning. I don't have to answer to anybody except for myself. And so all that has really changed. And I'm not as cynical as I used to be.
Okay.
Everybody's not a criminal or about to be a criminal or about to be a victim or, I'm like okay, you just yeah.
If money was no object, Miss Retired Person, full-time photographer, where would you go?
Like to take pictures or just
yes, to take pictures.
I go back to Antarctica.
Wait a minute. You'll go back to Antarctica? How do we skip over that? Let's talk about that.
I'd go back to Antarctica in a heartbeat.
So you went to Antarctica?
Yes, I've been to Antarctica. I've been to both. I've been to the Arctic region and to Antarctica.
Okay, tell us about
that. I was still employed, obviously, and had money. But I first went to, it does. I first went to Greenland. I took a cruise to Greenland, and it was a Nikon cruise. Actually, it was a Nikon trip, and worked with Daniel Cox. He was the leader of the trip. And a great nature photographer, and he went to Greenland, and I learned a lot from him, and I had a blast because I love icebergs. I've always, ever since I was a kid, I've loved icebergs. I've always wanted to photograph icebergs. And so we went to Greenland, and I thought it was going to be really, really cold because it's Greenland, and you're supposed to know it's cold. Yeah, it wasn't that cold up there.
Were you the only one that had like 20 layers of clothing on? You were, like,
first, yeah, I had all this. Yeah, I was like, all right, it's a little warm. Let me take some. I'm completely overpacked on gear, overpacked on clothes.
Oh no. You're like, I am not going to be cold.
It was funny, but I had a blast, and I love the shots. And a matter of fact, I just put one of the shots I took from that in a show that's coming up here in DC.
Okay.
And then in 2010, I think it was, I went to Antarctica, and that was with one of my all-time look up to favorites, Art Wolf. And actually that had 7 photographers on that cruise, 7 great photographers on that cruise. I've followed him for years, like even before college, I was following Art Wolf. and wanted to be just like him. And so we went to Antarctica, and I was like, I learned from Greenland not to overpack. And it was awesome. I was lucky enough to have a cabin to myself because my suite mate didn't show up, so I had my
Oh,
cabin to myself.
wow.
So I had the bed, I had everything laid out, all my gear and stuff laid out. It was awesome, and I would love to go. I mean, it was cold. Trust me, that night was cold. It
Okay.
was cold. But I loved every minute of it. I would love to stay there for a month at least.
So you guys were trekking to different locations and stuff?
This one was, and then this one happened to be an all photo cruise. The other one was a regular cruise ship. This was an all photo cruise ship. So it was a smaller cruise ship. There was only 77 of us on the ship. That is including the staff.
Mm-hmm.
And we went to different locations around the tip of the Antarctica there. We went out of Ushuaia and had a blast. The last 2 days on a trip, I got sick. Like half the ship got sick.
Oh no, was it just?
It was something we ate in the salad. It was
Oh,
some little bug that was in the salad, and we all got sick. And oh, that was the worst thing. But luckily, it was the last end of the trip, so we weren't really seeing anything. We got caught in a storm. Well, we didn't. We got sort of caught in a storm. We were out racing 2 storms. The National Geographic ship got caught in the storm. We were trying to go help them. It was wild. We didn't.
did you get pictures?
Yeah, actually, I saw the ship once we docked. Once we were able to finally dock, National Geographic had already beat us there. Their windows were the ship were out. They had to be towed in pretty much because they
It was
lost
that
power.
bad.
Yeah, it was
Oh
2
no.
storms that we were trying to outrace, and we actually did. But it was the captain was amazing because we had to wait before we could even dock, and when they finally let us in to come dock, the waves were horrible, but you would never have known it the way he piloted the ship. I mean, it was just incredible. Crossing the Drake I didn't have a bad time. Everybody's like, oh, the Drake is horrible. I didn't have a bad time. You know, I guess because I was a Marine firefighter, I learned how to sleep in rough waves. So I laid down and went to sleep. I did take a few photos. So I do have a few photos of the waves.
Good.
But I knew how to go to sleep and all of that. So it didn't bother me.
I would have been over there with a ceramic bowl. I would have proposed to it. Just
you're my best friend. I love you.
Yeah, no, no. So I applaud you. So you would go back to Antarctica. Would you go like the same type of time of year, or would you go?
I'd probably pick a different time. And we were originally supposed to go around Thanksgiving, and we had to push it back. So we kind of went after Thanksgiving into December.
Okay.
Which is still summer. I'd like to go a little more closer to fall, maybe-ish.
Okay.
Sort of, because because it was summer, we had sun, unfortunately, a lot of the times, most of the day. And we didn't get a lot of the sunset colors. I want to go more when it gets a little more sunset and get the pinks and the blues and for sunset. So that'd be a good time to go.
When it comes to gear, aside from your camera equipment, what is the 1 or maybe 2 or 3 items that you always keep with you?
Always keep, besides my camera gear?
Yep, excluding camera gear.
Always keep with me. Always keep with me. Lens cloth.
Okay.
A towel to wipe off my camera. I have a towel. It's nice. I have a washcloth that so I can wipe off the rain and stuff and snow and stuff. And a small flashlight.
Okay. All right. So you do nighttime photography too?
No, but a lot of times I have to get up. I'd love to do I want to get into Astro, but I haven't done it yet. But a lot of times for sunrises, the few times I do actually get up for them, it's usually night by the time I get up, and you can't see anything when you're trying to set your dials.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people is like when it comes to sunrises, it's like if they look and it's like, oh, the sunrise is at 5:30. It's like, that does not mean you get there at 5:30.
Right.
You need to get there at least an hour and a half before.
Right.
Those beautiful colors.
Yes.
I've
Yes.
had that conversation with plenty of people who just didn't understand. Like,
Yes, you
you
can't
get
get
up
the
that
sunrise.
early?
If I can get up at 5 and be there, no.
Mhm.
There's nautical time, and there's like astronautical, and then it's the
Mhm.
sunrise, the actual sunrise.
Yeah.
So you miss all that blue hour, purple
All,
hour.
yes, all of that. Yes, yes. People just, it's like, no, there's a reason why you'll see some of us up at 2:30 in the morning and what so have you. Favorite backpack.
I haven't found it yet.
Okay, so what do you carry? What do you use?
I have a backpack. I just haven't found a favorite backpack.
All right, so what's
I'm
the
still looking for
backpack?
that. I'm still looking for that proverbial backpack that's the magic backpack. But right
So
now,
what's the one that you have, and what would you change about it?
I have a low pro.
Mm-hmm.
What would I change? It's heavy. Everything is very, very heavy. You have to take it off to open it up and everything. I kind of dig in the sling packs. I have a
Okay.
small one. I need a little bigger one because I kind of like it on this and being able to sling it around and open it that way. But sometimes it doesn't. The one I have doesn't carry all the things I need because it doesn't. I can't hold filters. I can't hold towels. Batteries and
Mm-hmm.
I use it for when I'm doing photojournalism. I just put one lens in there and I can switch them out easy because I use one camera. But
Okay, so you're still searching
yes, I'm
for
still searching for
that
that
camera
convertible
bag.
backpack that's light enough, that's big enough, and where I don't always have to put it on the ground to open it up if I don't want to.
Okay. Yeah. All right. When you're out all day and we're standing on our feet
Oh
all
God,
day, do you have a favorite pair of shoes that are just comfortable where your feet aren't giving you an attitude problem?
no. I wear sneakers all the time. I wear my sneakers, and by the time I get home, I'm done.
You're
I'm
like,
done.
what's the longest that you've been out?
Ooh, longest I've been out. Well, I did the insurrection, so that was probably one of my longest days.
Oh, okay.
Because I went to the rally. I was there at the rally, and then
Oh,
I went to the
wow.
rally. Went from the rally to the storming of the Capitol, and I didn't come home till sometime after 6 or 7.
I bet that was a major adrenaline rush.
Um, it's so funny because everyone keeps saying that, and being there. And first off, I had to keep my mouth shut because of all the craziness that you heard around you, and then second off, being a cop, I kept looking at all the weapons around me, and I was like, wow. And I was like, I can't believe they let you. First, I couldn't believe they let backpacks around. I'm like, because all the other demonstrations, I've done a whole bunch of demonstrations. I'm like, half the stuff that they carried it wasn't even allowed at any of the others. And then when we got to when he said we're storming the Capitol, I'll meet you there, I was like, you realize he's not coming, right? But I couldn't say that out loud. And then when I got to the Capitol, and I was just like, first being from here and then being being at the other demonstrations, I'm like, wow, I can't believe you guys are. I'm like, we're not supposed to be on the steps. We're not supposed to be on the grass. We're not supposed to. I mean, there were places I knew you couldn't be, and here all these people. So I was just like amazed more than anything, and I had no clue because I missed the actual fighting with the police because that
Mhm.
kind of happened while I was walking there, and I actually walked away from the Capitol. I was there because nothing was going on originally, and I left, and I came, and I was heading home, and I came back. I turned around to come back, and I was just like, when I heard that storm the Capitol, I was like, oh man. I turned around and rushed back.
Photojournalism, America.
I had to walk back really quickly to get there, and I was just like, ah. But it was just like everybody was outside, and all this stuff was going around on the outside, so we had no clue what was actually happening in the Capitol.
Okay.
So it wasn't that bad outside as for where I was. I mean, I got maced a little bit because the police were throwing mace into the crowd, and I just walked away and stuff. But because I knew what the smell, I was like, gotta go.
All righty then.
Gotta go. So I just walked somewhere else.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I guess with the police background, I wasn't really worried about myself. But my phone apparently was blowing up, and I didn't know it because I couldn't hear it.
Oh, didn't have it on vibrate, did you?
No, but it was just outside and I couldn't
Oh.
hear it. My pastor had called, my brother had called, my friends had called. Right. Right. My brother's yelling at me, they're shooting in there, get out of there. And I was like, what?
I can't hear you. Okay, okay,
Right.
yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah,
well,
I'll call
yeah,
you
I'm going
back.
home soon. I'm not done yet. I'm going.
Okay, Sandy.
I hadn't called my wife. My brother was like, you didn't talk to Loretta. She's all mad at you. And I was like, oops. Because I was in the zone. I was like busy shooting. I was busy.
Your wife was
I
like, let me check on that insurance policy and see if you're up to
I don't
date.
think about anything when I'm shooting, especially when I was into it. I don't think about anything. My thing is I'm focused on what I'm doing. I have to focus here. So everybody else outside of here is
all right.
I'll get to you when I'm done.
Okay. All righty. Should we talk about safety? No. Safety in
safe.
journalism.
I was perfectly safe. And I saw that course too, by the way.
Okay.
But I actually was perfectly safe, because I didn't have anything that said press. So no one thought I was a journalist.
Okay.
And I purposely wear low-key things. So I don't wear anything that advertises one. I mean, I have my favorite hat, which just says I love pizza. I had it here somewhere.
Okay. Okay.
So I'll wear that. I'll wear a nondescript shirt. And I usually wearing shorts or something. So I kind of blend as much as I can. And the writers actually thought I was part of them. And I was like, yeah, sure. And then I'm going, y'all are crazy.
Yeah. Okay.
But I kept it all in.
All righty. Okay. What advice would you give to beginners?
Shoot. Just shoot. Don't worry about the technical stuff that comes later. You'll learn that. Just shoot what you like, shoot everything that you love. Just try it all. See what you like. Shoot nature, shoot portraits, shoot weddings, go to a friend's wedding and just say, hey, do you mind if I take a few photos? I won't get anybody's way. Try kids,
Mm-hmm.
try doing product. If I always said if I had to do it all over again in school, I'd be a commercial photographer. One, because I probably could make money, and two, I'd be better at lighting than I am now.
Like, oh, what? You want artificial light? No, we're waiting on the sun.
Right. So I'm always still learning to this day, I'm still learning about lighting. I have a really good friend who used to work at the Senate as a Senate photographer, and I learned lighting from him. I always have him teach me lighting because he's excellent at it. And so I'm like, okay, you got to help. Yeah, I got this, and this, so I'm getting a little better.
What are your plans for this upcoming year of 2022?
My goal is to publish one, if not two books. I have one that I should have published last year, and I just kind of, unfortunately, my mom got sick and ended up passing away, and I took care of her for like 2 years.
Sorry about that.
No, thank you. So I kind of put the book on hold.
Are these photography-based books?
I'm sorry?
Are these photography books?
Yes. Okay. So the first book is based on images that you find on my Instagram account, and the motivational sayings that I always pair with them, because people seem to like those, and I didn't realize that, but everyone keeps telling me we really love them. So I have a short series of books that I'm putting together, and then I did the 4 years when Trump was in office. I started with the very first Women's March, and I've documented just about every demonstration and protest that occurred in his 4 years. I think I missed maybe 3 to 4 out of the entire 4 years that he was in office. So I'd like to do a book from start to finish on that. I'd like to do a couple more showings around somewhere, and sell artwork. Sell some artwork.
Yes. Absolutely. More needs to be seen.
I'd like to sell some artwork. So that's like one of the other major goals is to sell some artwork.
Yes, we need to be seen. When it comes to seeing other women of color in this
Oh man, it's so
genre,
awesome. That
okay.
is the awesomest thing ever. That is so especially landscape. Oh, it's the other women who like to do nature. I literally didn't think other Black women were into. I swear. I know it sounds stupid, but I swear I thought I was the only one because I'm always the only one. Because usually the only one who does anything. I was the only Black woman who was on who was an EMT on the department I worked for. I was the only Black woman on my fire department. So I kind of got used to being the only one in doing stuff, especially living in upstate New York. I just got used to it. So I didn't know any other Black women who were into nature photography. And so I was just like, wow.
So this group or seeing this group, what does it mean to you?
It's meant so much because it's just it means I'm not crazy. Number one.
No, not at all. You're not on the island by yourself.
Right. And that's the other, and it's like so cool to see how other Black women see nature, because for so long you didn't see anybody of color in nature. And so the fact that we're taking it and getting out there and showing it to everybody and making it for everybody is like really, really cool for me. Because I mean, I've heard it all, like, why are you in nature? And like, I still have friends, even I am a part of a photo group here in DC, and I'm the only nature photographer in the group. I'm the only one who likes cold weather in the group. Everybody else likes hot weather. I'm like, oh God. And but they love seeing what I do, but no one wants to come out and do it. You know, they're all either portrait photographers or wedding photographers or journalists and stuff. And it's just nice to see us branch out, and I'm happy to see others branch out of those realms. You don't have to be a portrait photographer. You don't have to be a wedding photographer, or you know, there's nothing wrong with those fields, but it's nice to branch out to something else. And I'm just happy to see other, especially Black women, out doing it, because like, first off, nature photography is such a male dominated venture, white male at that, and then white female after that. So to have anyone of color in it is just it's just like twofold for me. Because like I said, I'm used to being the only, like, even on my trips to Antarctica and to Greenland, I was the only one. There were other women, there were other men, but but no one of color.
Right.
Yeah. I was the only one that was both, and I'm like,
there's no one I can with.
You know, and I had a lot of fun on the ship, and I loved everybody I was with and hanging out with. We had a great time, because it was just nice being with other nature photographers and who like stuff. But it was just, you know, once again, I'm the only one. So it's awesome to see other folks, and then to see that like they like winter, they like, you know, hiking, they like.
Absolutely.
You know, I love Gina's work, because I like look at Gina and I was just like, I want to be out Midwest, Gina. That was my original goal, was to be out Midwest. I wanted to be in Arizona. I was supposed to live in Arizona in the winter and live in Alaska in the summer. You know, that was my goal.
Is that still too late?
Yeah, I have grandkids now, and they want me here. So
they can't come visit you.
No, not just yet. They're 5 and 7. So
okay, all right. Well, okay. Grandma love you.
I know. I'll get back to Alaska at some point.
Alaska is beautiful. It really, yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Yes. Well, I want to thank you so much for for being available to share your experience and your expertise and your love of outdoor photography with our viewers. Do you have any tips outside of just get out and shoot? Anything else that you would like to share before we wrap this up?
Just, you know, always make sure don't listen to what others say about your stuff, like about your work. Just keep practicing, keep believing. Because if I listened to folks in school, which is why I quit, because they were like, "Oh, you're not good, you're not that good," and I always got negative feedback, and I just got frustrated. And it's funny, I look back at some of my college stuff, and I was like, I wasn't as bad as they made it out to be.
Mm.
And again, I was pretty much one of very few Black folks and Black females in my program. And that had probably a lot to do with it. And so just if you just ignore the negative and keep on doing, because you're gonna get better no matter. Everyone starts out lousy anyway. I have even Ansel Adams was sucked to me when he first started out. And got better as he went along. If you look at his earlier work, is nowhere like his later work.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and it's a growth process. It's just, photography is a growth process, and you just stick with it and keep going. You'll find your niche, you'll find your groove, you'll find what you love to do, and don't let anyone else tell you that you can't do it.
That part. Absolutely. Well, thank you, Sandy. For our viewers, please like, subscribe, comment, and share. Sandy's information will be in our comments section, but she can also, what's your website and where can people find your images?
Well, the best place to find my current images is on my Instagram account, which is SAdams ODVP, Oscar David Victor Peter. My website I'm working on updating and changing, but it's Outdoor Visions, spelled VIZIONS, photography.com. You can see some of my older stuff that I'm like, ooh, time to change.
Yeah, it's a new year. Mm-hmm.
But Instagram is if you want to keep up with all my current stuff. That's where where I mostly have everything.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Sandy. And again, viewers, please like, subscribe, share, comment. Go check out Sandy's page or Instagram page. We will include that all in the comment section. And on that note, thank you all for being a part of the Black Female Landscape and Nature Photographers YouTube channel.